Anne, Tom und Stefan lassen sich bei der Firmengründung von firma.de helfen. Egal ob Einzelunternehmen, UG oder GmbH. In 48 Stunden Firma gründen. Jetzt auf firma.de.
Welcome to Venture TV, welcome to Mountain View. I'm here with David Blumberg. David, you have a venture capital firm called Blumberg Capital.
Yes, I'm not very creative, but it's
but it's good because when people meet you, they know, oh, that's the guy with Blumberg Capital. So it's
Well, the good thing that I think about it is that I'm the founder and the managing partner. So I think I and my colleagues can empathize with entrepreneurs. We didn't inherit a giant venture capital firm from 4 decades ago.
Yeah, okay.
We're also founders, and we feel close to the ground.
All right. And the special thing is David invested in Germany, and he invested quite a lot. So you have, which is quite rare for US investors.
Yes.
You've invested in Germany. Who's part of your portfolio?
So in our current portfolio, we have companies that you probably know, Kreditech, which has been doing very well.
Quite popular.
A new investment, Wundercar, also based in Hamburg. We have Urbanara. We have a number of other companies that have worked over time.
Yeah.
And we're looking for new companies all the time. So those are a few right now. We also have ePetWorld.
All right.
And a number of others. I don't always remember all the names,
No, true.
but we're looking all the time. And how did we get to Germany? The first thing, we know that in our DNA, we know that all the brains are not concentrated just in Silicon Valley. We know that there are a lot of smart people and smart engineers and entrepreneurs everywhere. So the first place we went was Israel.
Yeah.
We had a long-standing relationship over 20 years now investing in Israel. It's been very successful. Then we thought, where are the other couple of countries in the world that we should start? Where do we have relationships? So we had some LPs, some limited partners in our fund from Germany.
All right.
They were smart, they owned businesses, they were connected, and they used to run conferences, the Borda family. And so we went to the DLD conference.
Yeah.
We started to meet very smart angels from other parts of Germany, in Berlin and Hamburg and Düsseldorf and Munich. So we started going to those cities on a once-in-a-while basis. And we found that it's a fairly small, tightly connected community of entrepreneurs and angels and venture funds. And so now I think we have a pretty good handle on who are the active investor community.
Yeah.
And then we say our hands are up. We're ready and we're willing to invest in Germany. Show us the deals that are
Good to know.
Show us the deals that are ready. So you can approach us directly. BloombergCapital.com. We're all first name at. So I'm David, my colleagues, or through the smart angels and the good venture firms. We will take that risk. We will come to Germany. We will sit on boards. We'll make the travel effort. That's not an issue for us.
And the valuations of companies are a lot lower in Germany and in Europe than they are over here. It's crazy how huge the valuations are. So I would think that all the American investors should have a look at Europe and I don't know, look what's going on, because they can invest in a cool company for a much lower price than over here. But you are quite special, and there are not many other investors who invest in Europe.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason?
I think we made a commitment, and once we have a commitment, we start to get a sort of a scale advantage, because we're not going over for one board meeting, we're going over for 2 or 3 in the same time zone. So really, for many investors in the Valley, I think it'd be a question of what we call opportunity cost. For us, the opportunity cost is a little bit lower because we already have reasons to go. We already have a network that we can tap into. We can research the due diligence faster by calling a few friends who know. Whereas if it's your first investment, there's more of a catalyst expense to get over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And as you've heard, David has just invested in Wundercar.
Yes.
What made you invest there? Tell us about your motivation. What makes the company special?
Sure. Well, first, in almost all the cases we go abroad, we love the management team. They're a very dedicated, smart group of guys. Gunnar, the founder and CEO, had led the expansion efforts of Airbnb in Europe, across the continent. That's a very successful track record. So he understands scaling, he understands international issues, he understands the sharing economy, the liability issues that are inherent in this category, monetization models. So that was a very good thing. Now, second, we thought that the emerging economies where infrastructure is lagging the growth of the economy, and the transportation infrastructure in particular is lagging, presented a particularly attractive opportunity for this type of ride sharing that Wundercar is pioneering. It's different from, say, Uber, in that these are part-time folks who are sharing rides, partly for the social benefit, partly for, say, gas money. So it's more along the lines of BlaBlaCar for international or long-distance transit, and Wundercar operates within the city. And we think that going city by city across a number of emerging market capitals, large cities, there's a large market, untapped, very low customer acquisition cost, very low driver acquisition cost, no capital infrastructure required for the cars themselves. And so the scale can be very rapid and the growth can be pretty much unlimited.
So congratulations to Gunnar and his team at Wundercar. And we are coming to the next topic. How should German startups think about internationalization? When we talk to investors over here, they very often say, "Oh, you got to be here because, I don't know, business development is just a lot easier when you are here." But then companies are coming over. Everything's has gotten really expensive in the last years, 5 years, 10 years. So especially for a startup without much money. It's hard to set up.
You. When you say everything has gotten very expensive, what do you mean? Because maybe prices,
living,
in the
like
Bay Area.
when you buy sodas or something, or food, it's okay, but especially living is like houses and rent is.
But compared, it's not as expensive as London. It's maybe as expensive as New York. I don't think that the cost of living is really the issue with most startups, because the wages are your main issue for people, and then the capex, the expenditure on computers and on software and all that has dropped dramatically in the past 15 years.
It's not more than in other parts of America.
No, that's true. It's the same everywhere. But I think that not every bit of your company has to be co-located in the Bay Area. You could have, say, marketing, sales, headquarters, and maybe the product here because you're close to the ecosystem that's so crucial. But you could have a lot of engineering offshore. You could have engineering in very inexpensive places like Berlin. You could have it in China, India, parts of Israel, other countries. Eastern Europe has great engineering. South America has some great engineering. So you can find low-cost engineering talent or more moderate-priced engineering talent. But I think the crucial thing about being in the Valley, at least for part of your business, if you're going global, and if you want to be addressing through the U.S. market first, then the network's here, the money is here, the talent is here that has done it before.
And I understand that it's quite important to be here when your company is in a stage where you have to think about internationalization and growing. So you can cope with the high rents, you can cope with the high salaries for people over here. That's okay when you are a reasonably big company. When you're thinking now about starting a startup, you have an idea, and you're thinking about, I want to start it in Germany, or do I want to start it here?
Right.
What's better?
I'm not going to give a generic advice. I don't think there is one. We, Blumberg Capital, are very open to where you, the entrepreneur, want to base your business. It really should be driven by what the business needs. So, for example, let me give my two examples from Germany. Wundercar started in Hamburg and doesn't sell anything in Germany. They're in Warsaw and Prague and in Budapest and expanding east and south and so on. Kreditech, a phenomenally good German company, also happens to be in Hamburg, is not doing any loans in Germany. They're lending in Poland and in Spain and in Mexico and Peru, far-flung places. So notice they're not coming to the U.S. Most of our Israeli companies tend to be more enterprise-oriented, and they tend to be coming to the U.S., or they need partnerships with U.S. partners like Facebook or Microsoft or AT&T, something. So that if you're coming to the U.S. and want those partners, then being here in the Valley makes a lot of sense.
All right.
If you're in Hamburg or Berlin or somewhere, Germany, and going east or going south or staying in Europe, then not so clear that you need the tie here. We may still be willing to invest, as we have done in Kreditech and in Wundercar and ePetWorld and so on, Urbanara, but I'd say the dynamics are individual. So you, the entrepreneur, have to decide with your team where you should be located. But the good news is that people are pretty much able now to work in distributed teams, even in small groups. much easier than ever before.
So starting the company in Germany and getting the first proof of concept would probably be quite a good idea, because when it fails, you can just stay in Germany and nothing changed for you. And when it takes off, then you can then decide to go international and to go and set up an office over here. Right.
Again, it depends on what you're trying to do,
yeah.
but that doesn't sound like a bad plan in general.
Okay.
Get a proof of concept, get something on the ground, make sure that some customers use it, and the internationalization really is very specific to the specific company. For example, in fintech, the regulatory burdens are quite severe, and so if you're going to be doing banking, anything related to banking in the United States, you'd have to be here because you have to get the license here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Totally. All right. Thanks for the advice. And as you've heard, send these guys an email if you want them as an investor. Who are you investing in? So just probably not everyone of you is
familiar with
will get money. But so what are you especially looking for?
So first, let me just give 1 minute on what Blumberg Capital is. We are specialists in early stage financing. So we like to invest in great entrepreneurial teams in the seed and A round. We can invest from a few $100,000 up to say $5 million on a first round. We like to partner closely and collaborate very productively with our entrepreneurial teams. I think we're very founder-friendly. We like to add value. We have a very strong added value in the B2B space, clearly, because we have a CIO council, Chief Information Officer Council, Chief Marketing Officer Council, Chief Security Officer Council. We bring these people together quarterly or more, and we ask them essentially, if we build this, will you buy it? And we've helped a number of our best companies, for example, Nutanix or Double Verify, get their very first customers and get off the ground. And it's been absolutely groundbreaking for them. So we like to do that. Now, in terms of where we invest, geographically, again, so far, US, Israel, Germany, and Canada, but we're open to other places. It could be Austria, Switzerland, any those places. Very smart engineers there. And then in terms of stage, again, early. Domains, we're pretty open. Anything in software is fine. I would say that if it's very capital intensive, probably not our thing. So generally we don't do wet biology, we don't do clean tech generally, we don't do semiconductors, or generally big hardware. But I'm increasingly excited by synthetic biology, and we just did our first investment, a company called 20N here in the Valley. And we're also excited by the Internet of Things. We've seen some German startups in that realm, and areas that are combining IT with atoms. As my friend Peter Thiel says, atoms and bits, or atoms and electrons. If they can do things together, that's an exciting area for us.
All right, sounds good, and I hope you've learned a bit. And as I said, send these guys an email if you want their money. And thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Thank you. Dankeschön.